What is going on, good people? Today we are going to be talking about a fighting game I have not touched in a long time. Let me ask you a question. You ever play a game and you haven't played it in forever, and you think to yourself, why don't I ever play this game? Yeah, there's been other iterations in the franchise, and you know, there's been improvements in the franchise since this entry, but why haven't I gone back to play this one, other than the fact that this one is for the most part basic and irrelevant? Well, sometimes the game is very cheap and you forget that the AI in said game is so cheap to the point that you just stop playing it completely. And that is the case today for the first entry in the Marvel or Capcom Versus series with X-Men Children of the Atom, released in 1994 for the arcade and ported later for the PlayStation and Sega Saturn, I believe in 1995. When this game came out, I really wanted to play this game. It was in magazines, for the most part, which is in magazines, because back then, we really didn't have internet. But this game, I really wanted to play it, and that Christmas of 1994, I asked my parents, hey, can I get this game? Not knowing the fact that it wasn't available for Super Nintendo, because that's all we had at the time. And instead, I got this, X-Men Mutant Apocalypse for the SNES. It wasn't Children of the Atom, but it was basically Capcom's way of saying, hey, you don't have an arcade at home, you don't have a PlayStation or a Saturn, here's something to tide you over. Kind of like what they did with Mega Man 8 and Mega Man and Base, where, you know, it's like they don't, not everybody, or kids specifically, don't have access to this console, so here's something to tide you over. And it's kind of a good thing I didn't get this game as a kid, because the AI is brutal. This game is the epitome of, it's just there to take your quarters. It's still a fun game. It's got beautiful graphics. It's got a great soundtrack, amazing soundtrack. A lot of the songs that are on here are going to end up in Marvel vs. Capcom later down the line. So it's got that going for it, and the combos are really satisfying and fun to pull off. It's just that good luck landing any of them, because this game loves to do one thing, and that's block any offense that you try to amount while playing this game. And the reason why that is because this game suffers from what I call mid-90s Capcom difficulty syndrome. Games like Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Street Fighter, Darkstalkers, any game from the time of like 1994 to about 1995, it was a small period of time. Heck, you could throw in 1993 at that point, because this is when Super Street Fighter came out. The AI in those games was extremely cheap, where I believe Capcom just got greedy and they're like, hey, if you're not pumping quarters into this thing, let the guy behind you who hasn't played yet put some more quarters into this, because they just didn't want you to win. And it's a very specific and unique time frame of when the AI in these games was extremely cheap. So first things first, we gotta talk about the roster. Reason being, I mean, what's a fighting game if you don't have anyone interesting to play as? So in this game, you only get 10 characters. But that's not really a bad thing, because as you'll find out later with a lot of these games, the less characters you have, the more frames of animation that each individual character can have. So running out the roster, we got Colossus, Cyclops, Iceman, Juggernaut, Magneto, Omega Red with this awesome soundtrack that I love, and I wish they would have put it in future Marvel vs. Capcom games, but that's besides the point. Psylocke, Sentinel, Silver Samurai, Spiral, Storm, and Wolverine. And last but not least, you get one secret character, Akuma from Street Fighter. And that's right, this is where the whole Versus thing started getting people talking. I wonder if Capcom might have already had it planned out that they were going to do the Versus games. I could say they probably already did. But this is where people started having questions like, well, if you can have Akuma versus all these X-Men, you know, what about the rest of the Street Fighter cast? And that is basically where this Versus idea came from. You could kind of call this the first Versus game, because technically you do have an X-Men fighting one Street Fighter character. It's just one Street Fighter character, but he's still a Street Fighter character and he's from a totally different franchise. Now I know you're probably wondering, how is he playing this game? Is it original arcade hardware? Is it a Sega Saturn version? Is it the PlayStation version? Well,
it's whatever your imagination wants it to be. Oh.
Sound design in this game is really well done. Every hit sounds satisfying as you connect with each opponent the few times that you can in this game. But the sound design really shines with the soundtrack. If I had to pick a favorite theme, I got several. I gotta go with Wolverine's theme, Storm's theme,
Round one. Fight! Tornado Claw!
Real claw. Real claw.
And if I really had to give a trophy to the best song in this entire game, it's got to go to Magneto.
You dare rise against me. The human era is over. Mutant era has come.
I mean, the way he just floats down to whoever you're playing as, it's so intimidating. And then he has a small monologue about the human era ending and the mutant era is now. It just gets you in the mood for a final battle. And the presentation is off the charts with this game, as it was for all the games of this era. And I kind of miss that with the modern fighting games. But I'll talk about that another time. But in short and in closing, if I had to say or give a score to this game, I give X-Men Children of the Atom, I give it about a 7.5. It set the groundwork for what we know as a lot of the Versus games and what would come to be Marvel vs. Capcom and Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and MVC Infinite. It laid the groundwork for those games, and I'm not sure if they planned on doing it, but they did not know what they at the time had on their hands. And yeah, it's just a nice little tidbit of knowing that this game started it all. And without this game, basically, we would not have a Versus franchise. And that's what to take a look at this game. You know, difficulty aside, this is a good game. And play it any way you can. Anyway, this has been Adorkable and the Video Game Hero. If you like this video, leave it a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff. I plan on doing more fighting game content. And let me know what else you want to see on this channel. Until then, you guys take care and keep playing video games and all that kind of stuff. Peace.